Awesome. The recording has started now. Okay. So for everyone present here, if you're writing an essay introduction, as I said, essay introduction sets the answer into perspective. It starts your presentation, but don't be vague. Answer the question without delay. So you can paraphrase the topic and you can then answer the question in that same intro para. And you can also give supporting reasons, but objectively, not in a lengthy sentence manner. So objectively can be given by using an and conjunction or using an inversion, like not only but, and you can have brilliant 2 or 3 reasons to support your answer to the question. So what happens in the body paragraph once the intro has been done, not more than 5 minutes for the intro for writing, comes the body paragraph. Now you need to understand a body paragraph is a place which contains ideas about what you have responded. And they have to look organized, structured, and easy to read. So if you were writing a body paragraph for 100% agreement or a disagreement based essay, then in that case, since it's 100%, your reasons to agree, disagree would sit here. Your second para also will have another reason to agree, disagree, but a reason may be projected in 1.5 lines, 2 lines. So that's not enough for a body paragraph. What should you do more for the body paragraph to become fully developed or sufficiently developed? You need to think on how, when, where, and why. So for example, technology has been a boon for humans, in the day-to-day life. Firstly, where? How does technology help you? Can somebody tell me a supporting reason? Quick. If it's technology and we're doing opinion. I've read your question, Vasu. I'll answer it in some time. Okay. Arvind, I'll answer your question also in some time, but right now you need to answer my question, and that's for this current slide. If technology was an opinion essay and you were 100% agreeing with it, and in the first para, I want you to say a first reason. Which reason? So Suresh is saying it has increased accessibility to information and commodities. Correct, Suresh? Because accessibility alone may not communicate the depth of the reason. So we need to attach it to something more tangible. Okay. So can I say accessibility to information and commodities? Yeah. And then I can elaborate, for example, if we had to book a train ticket, earlier we had to plan our visit, either to a agent or to the railway station and then book a ticket. However, now, in matter of few minutes, we are able to book a travel ticket independently with the help of internet and accessible websites. So it has made world a global village, and you can justify that. So example, see, my example itself is an elaborated example. So Vasu, Suresh, one of the common mistakes students do, they give a supporting example like, it just started and it just finished. And somehow they end up elaborating in a separate manner. Whereas an example, elaboration can come together. So you don't need a separate elaboration for another thing unless you really have another supporting reason for accessibility and provides more information. So please understand your body paragraph for those who have problem to expand the idea for fully develop. So for full development or sufficient development, for them, I'm giving you such a good power tip. Your brain is a computer machine. It responds to correct keywords. If you just say how, when, where, it will not give you any input. It will say you're vague, you're confusing me, and you'll get more stressed. So don't do that to yourself. Say complete sentences, how technology has been a boon to humans. Their technology has been a boon to humans. So who are you saying these to? Silently to your brain. And trust me, those who are present here today, if you've been facing challenge with idea development, try this technique and let me know your feedback in the next session. We are meeting on the 26th April, 3 p.m. onwards with another powerful topic to scale up your scores for the IELTS and mark your success in countries like Canada and others. I hope this is understandable. So I'm just still on the first reason and my para looks very healthy because I've covered almost 85 to 100 words because my example was quite clear. It was elaborative and it has given me some food for my body paragraph 1. Now for my body para 2, I have more ownership of putting a signposting linker to say what the purpose of this para is in relation to the previous para. Please understand what I'm trying to say. When I started my first body para, I never said to begin with. Please stop using this over-repeated phrase. Get it out. It's not required. But in the second body paragraph, you need to signpost the relationship with the previous para. Is the second para in support? Is the second para in contradiction? So your linker choice needs to be very well selected. Is that okay, everybody? Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. So besides this, I would rather besides this, to make it more formal, I would say along with providing increased accessibility, it also helps to save time, both in the personal and professional periphery. So what did I do? I again used my keyword and I created cohesion. Today, the focus is not cohesion, but I can't teach essays without using these words. So please bear with me. So task achievement, lexical resource, which is vocabulary, collocations, cohesion, coherence, that is link between ideas, grammar, range, and accuracy, they all go hand in hand. Every sentence that you write, every progress that you make in your essay, you are earning your scores in all the 4 columns. Okay, you can't do in silos. Oh, I'm only achieving task achievement. No, when you're writing for task, you're also achieving the other marking criterions. Okay, so the second para will also be 100% in opinion because I've used in addition or I'm saying along with. And if I was partially agreeing, then my first para may be in favor and my second para may be in contrast. And I would say on the other hand, comma, or I would say nevertheless, comma. It's up to me how I want to put my second para for contrast. Okay, but I need to signpost. Please understand, signposting makes communication clearer and progression more logical. Okay, these are very simple things. Let's see, this is how simply you can achieve such good bands. Now, this was for the body paragraphs. Now, an essay is incomplete if I don't talk about a conclusion. Okay, now conclusion should not be too big. It should be max 3 sentences and try to include a variety of sentence structure. Try to look at your opening and try to echo the summary of the, wrap up the summary of the essay here and don't introduce a new idea. Let it be forgotten or edit in the body. Okay, if you really have to do it. Now that was an essay. Now, this is the message that we have in today's Power Pack session. An essay is a high scoring essay if it covers all the requirements of the task and it gives well-supported ideas with a clear opinion, if it's an opinion-based essay, okay, or with a clear answer. Now, if I am looking at task achievement and I looked at band 9 and band 8, I really want you to benefit in the grammar also from today's session. And very soon we'll be doing the complex sentence structures together. So let's look at the elements and revise what's grammar accuracy. Now, all this that I have populated on this slide is for a purpose. These are the areas where many of us give away our marks. We eat articles. Probably they're so small and they're digestible. So we eat the determiners or the articles a and the, and somehow the subject verb agreement, we all know singular, plural. We know single, subject, plural verb, plural subject, single verb. We know exceptions too, but somehow when we write or speak, there are slips. Now those slips are human, but why don't we look at the editing stage with a better lens? And what we know we can do slips on, capture them, okay? Know yourself, know your writing strength, and make editing your band score change stage. Trust me, if you edit your slips well, you are actually moving your writing by a band. You may move your writing by a band, okay? That's how the slips can be costing to you if you're not careful with them. Now, prepositions look so tiny, but when they sit in front of our verb, look up, look down. If I use the wrong preposition, my entire communication of a sentence can get jeopardized. And I don't want to miscommunicate. I don't want to break the communication, break the bands. So prepositions are tiny, but you really need to grip them. Now, punctuations can be full stop, which are eaten or forgotten, or they're not visible. The pencil did not put the full stop, though you tried to put it. You eat the commas because you are in the flow of writing and you say, oh, I'll write a comma later, but probably you don't know how to write a comma. There could be various reasons. So know your semicolons, know your commas. Yeah. Today, I'm not teaching grammar for parts of speech. Today, I'm going to be looking at complex sentences, but this slide is very important so that I pass on a message. You cannot compromise on grammar if you need a good score. A grammar is one of the main ingredients that make sentence structures communicative. So please make sure you know your slips and work on them and make them your strength, not your losing territory. Tenses, so past, present, future, and of course, perfect tense. Yeah, let it be perfect. You'll get perfect scores. So now, if you want to study all these, where do you go? So there's a book called Raymond Murphy Grammar. It's a very popular book set, which is used not only in India, but worldwide. Raymond Murphy. So just like many years back, Renan Martin used to be the most popular grammar book. Even now, Renan Martin can be used, but you can also use Raymond Murphy. It has really taken over the last 2 decades, okay, in the popularity chart and the usage chart, okay. So another slide for you, which is slightly different from the parts of speeches because we are very soon getting into the complex sentence structures for you. So relative clauses, can somebody add to this list? Is that the only way to create relative clauses, by using who, that, which, or some others can also help you make a relative clause? I read your question, Are. I'll be happy to answer you. Yeah. And this session will help you scale up. 6.5 is a very good score in writing. I know it's not meeting your benchmark score, but if you look at the things that I'm telling today, you'll be happily taking away a 7.5 or an 8. Okay. Just attend the session more closely and apply the tips that I'm giving today. So the question for the lovely audience is, and you need to respond in the chat for me, if you had to use relative clauses, apart from who, that, which, can you add to the list of relative clauses? Thank you, Hetul. You've been very kind to answer first. Manjinder, thank you. Dhrumil, thank you. Shabir. All right, bravo. So you know your relative clauses. I call it 7WH series. And of course, how is also a part of it. Now, conditional clauses are so tempting and you want to use them. But if you don't use them correctly, they take away your marks. Okay, so wrong tense is a problem. When you're using conditional clause, just focus on your tenses. Okay, and many students don't know how to use have, had together, and probably when to use had. Work on your rules a bit. It's okay to spend 1 hour and work out your perfect tenses, and make sure you don't ignore your errors in this. Now, a lot of students don't know the third form of the verb, and that's when the passive does not give the scores. So passive is not underscoring. Incorrect form of the verb is what makes passive incorrect. Okay, so let's work on verb forms. Third form is used here. Know the gerunds, ing makes them, but the sentence needs to be meaningful. So I especially recommend students to use ing in the beginning as a subject because it's easier and there are less chances of an error. Okay. All right, bravo. Thank you, Vasu. I call them referencing pronouns, this and these. Okay. So this is a tip for you for those who are really struggling with grammar or they don't know where their errors are. You need something to help you pull out your errors. Yeah. So go on Grammarly, go on Pro Writing Aid. They will tell you your grammar errors. Now, once you know your grammar errors, they could be 20. Now, they could be so varied. Now, what you need to do is create a bucket list of top 3 grammar errors. So your top 3 could be, you really have to work immediately on your articles because you have 7 errors in the articles, for example, and you have 3 tenses errors. So it becomes a second priority list. And then you are making 2 prepositional mistakes. So that's also much. You make it a third priority list. So have 3 top common errors in terms of the repeated nature of those errors, in terms of the frequency in your writing for those errors. Make them and identify, pull out. Unless you don't know your errors, you will not know how to work on them. And then comes the practice with rules, practice, with grammar exercises. You know how grammar improves and you can improve it. And then it's time to put with confidence another writing piece and see, are your errors reducing? At least 1 week of reflective practice will help you reduce your grammar errors. It's not an instant and your slips are more fossilized. So it's not easy to get rid of them in just one attempt. You need patience and at least 1 week of regular reflective 3-2-1 reflective method. So 3-2-1. So you understand? 3 steps, 2 steps, and 1 step. Now comes the range, which will take you to the complex sentence structures for today. And I'm just timing ourselves. We are at 3:36. We have good 10 minutes before we go to the Q&A round. So for everybody who are present here, I would like to read out the complex sentences context for IELTS. Okay. When we talk about complex sentences, where do they support in your IELTS speaking or IELTS writing? So complex sentences are a key to achieving a high score when it comes to the grammar range and accuracy column of your marking, which is a feature of both speaking and writing assessment. If you only speak in simple sentences with a limited range of complex sentence structures, you cannot get more than a band 5. For a band 6, you need to use a mix of simple and complex. A band 7 requires a range of complex sentence structure. And for a band 8, he or she has a wide variety when it comes to sentence structures, more bent towards the complex or complex compound. Okay, so this is applicable for both speaking assessment and writing assessment. And we know if you do only simple and complex, you're only giving a range of band 6. So simple can be used, but not more than 2 to 3 simple sentences, in an answer when you're speaking. It should have a mix of sentence structures and more complex sentence structures. That's the message of today's session for you. Now, this is a very easy looking slide, but many of us may have forgotten. So let's revise together. A complex sentence has an independent clause. Now, what's an independent clause? When the cake is brown, or it cannot be replaced by a full stop. It's not making so much sense. Remove it from the oven. Yeah, so there is something that you may be indicating. So it's still more independent and I can rest it without any previous information. But I cannot rest this without adding some information. So this is a dependent clause and this is an independent clause. When they sit together, they bring 2 ideas, they join them together and they separate it with a comma. Okay, so that's a complex sentence. And I hope you agree it is not at all complex. You do this day in and day out. You keep talking, you keep writing, and you very much using these structures. Yeah. Some more. Okay. If we look at an independent clause, what is an independent clause? A group of words that can stand alone as a sentence. That means a full stop can come because it's making sense. What's a dependent or a subordinate clause? The one that cannot stand alone and cannot just be standing with the full stop because it's not making sense. It's vague. So here, if I look at it, the red one is the independent clause and the blue one is the dependent clause. We will not go fishing if it rains. Yeah. So of course, it's so logical. There's no fun in fishing if it's raining. Yeah. So this if conditional is a beautiful conditional. It gives you such a good range and a variety because it's not overused in writing sheets. And it's actually another range of structure, which is not so common. So if conditional is a special recommendation from us. Try to master it. Make sure your tenses are correct because that's the common error for if conditional. Okay, let's look at one more. All classes are cancelled. So that's an independent clause because of the typhoon. Now that's a dependent clause. And see, with the because, I can make a complex sentence. When he was young, comma, he wanted to be an astronaut. So see, the blue part is an independent clause and the orange one is a dependent clause. After jogging, she went to the cafe that she loves. So see here, there are two subordinate clauses and one independent clause. After jogging, that she loves. None of the subordinate can stand alone. They need the independent clause to make complete sense. Okay. Now, let's look at certain structures and make it applicable to your IELTS writing. This is what is going to make it to your IELTS writing or speaking. Now, you need to understand adverbial clauses, the linkers that you use, the conjunctions that you use. Many help you to make and join ideas. Yeah, so when you're joining more than one idea, and if the ideas are not independent or any one idea is dependent, then there is a sentence structure which will be a complex sentence structure. So here, while is helping you prepare an adverbial clause complex sentence structure, how is giving you a noun clause here, and adjective is with the who here. Now, if you have to really understand these, you can look at what I have put in the first column. Adverbial clauses work as adverbs and they can show a number of different relationships between the clauses. Okay, so that's one. You don't need to kind of have this on your tips, whether I'm writing an adverbial clause or an adjective clause, but just see how much range I'm not repeating. So that's a range in grammar that we're looking when you speak. Then only we can give you a higher range band. Okay, so we are so explicit in letting you know what can get you to a higher score. You need to work towards it. And this slide is inspiring you to accomplish it. Okay, a noun clause functions as nouns. Okay, and an adjective clause functions as an adjective. It provides an extra information. I would study medicine and then become a doctor. Much independent, but additional information. Who helps children around the world? So see, it's become more relatable and more descriptive. So a descriptive writing, writing with the good grammar range is a high-end writing piece. Now, time for you to answer questions. Okay. There are other ways apart from the clauses, the way I showed, to create complex ideas like this. I don't think that they should pay for this. Of course, there's a relative clause here, but there's also should. So what is this? Which part of speech is this? And do you use in your IELTS exam? Come on, everybody, write in the chat, please. Vasu, so good. Lovely. Yeah, such a good, quick answer, and lovely others. Suraj, Monal, Amanpreet, I love your enthusiasm. Okay. So see what my screen has to say. It says exactly what you said too. So Can, could, shall, should. They look so basic, but they are helping you produce another variety of complex structures. See how easy is IELTS exam? And the person who wrote to me for 6.5, can you answer? Have you been using this in your IELTS exam? Please, I want to listen to your answer. The one who told me why IELTS writing is tough, why am I stuck at 6.5? My question to the person is, have you been using the variety that I'm teaching today? If you haven't been, then you should start using, because I have told you that the scores do jump. So think so is a probability. You need a surety, RA. Okay. So please make sure, be reflective in your practice, adopt the 3-2-1 principle. Just for grammar, just for complex sentence structures, have minimum 10 sentence structures variety, RA, in a writing piece where you may be writing at least 18 to 19 sentence structures to make a good essay. Okay. I hope you are able to understand what I'm trying to imply here. It's not about some sentence structures. It's about the length. It's about the content. It's about the parts of speeches. And this is scoring in many ways. Why? Because you are not overgeneralizing. At times we say people gain weight when they eat too much fast food. So this is something that we love to write, but if we moderate our language and we say many people tend to gain weight, this would be more scoring, because you are restricting yourself from overgeneralization. Okay, and you're moderating your language. So another thing that I want is, if I have to show complex ideas and I want to compare something, can somebody give me an example of a sentence, please? Come on. I want comparable structures here. Make a sentence to show me a variety where you may use a superlative degree, or a second comparable degree. Yeah, Monal, I like it, but can you also write what I'm trying to say here? Okay, Falak, that is so relevant. Yeah. Yeah, correct, Amanpreet. Thank you for getting them on the screen for us. Let's look at a sentence, because I was actually looking for a sentence from you all. Many people prefer not to walk as far as they used to. Okay. Now, Suraj, I would want every one of you to visit Cambridge English Dictionary whenever they have time. And in that, there's a grammar zone where the relative clauses are so detailed. So you can just pick up right away or order Raymond Murphy, and you can work on your clauses and see whether you got the noun clause right, which is about a person and or a place, or you got your adjective descriptive right. You will get to know when you practice them. Okay, so I'm going to give you more range today, and this is about the passive range now. So I'm talking about how complex ideas, from adverbial clauses to adjective clauses to noun clauses to modal to relative clauses to if conditional to passive voice. See, the range is on. And I have so many sentence structures for you here. And see, there's so much variety of the tenses that I'm also using here for you. I'm not in a hurry to be repetitive for my tenses too. So what does passive voice allows you to do? It allows you to show the grammatical range, because it's talking about the past participle of the verb, and that is not so common in the writing copies for students. So something which is not so common deserves an applause and a good band if it's accurate. Okay. It focuses on the results rather than who performed the action. So a passive makes your writing more formal, but too much passive can slow down your writing too. So be a little thoughtful about how much passive to use. Our samples are there on the IDP website. Burlington English is giving you the books when you register with IDP, and they're absolutely score changing. You must use them for your improved practice. So that is it for today's session. and I've looked at the range, I've given examples. Unfortunately, grammar is not something that I can change for you just with one session. I can just put you on the path. I can motivate you. I can give you resources, and I can be your solution buddy whenever I am there on the session. Yeah. But you need to do the hard work, and you need to have softwares to guide you when you are incorrect too, because you need instant answers also, because that helps you save time, that puts correction into action. So I'm going to go on the Q&A now, and we are finishing the session sharp at 4. So let's look at the questions. Falak says, as we write full agreement, to what extent you agree by simply quoting one aspect? So Falak, this is a common question. They say, to what extent do you agree? So when they're asking you the extent, use a descriptive word. Say, I fully agree. I partially agree. So make sure this descriptive thing is sitting with your opinion for sure, and your body paragraphs live the story for the evidence. So if you were doing partially, I partially agree with this because I believe, the advantages of using technology are far greater than its disadvantages. So if that was the case, your body para of advantages would be bigger than the disadvantages, because you said partially in a way. Yeah. Yes. So if I was agreeing fully and I wanted to give 2 reasons for fully agreeing, I can also make 2 reasons sit in one body paragraph, but not in a hurry. So each reason will become an independent topic sentence, or it may have a master topic sentence to say, this para is discussing advantages, the way we want to put it. But if you want to have a separate one para for fully agree, another para for fully agree as a second reason, you can have a third para for disagreement. Even 5 para structure, Vasu, is quite acceptable, and it's entirely up to you. But always remember, when more than one idea is sitting in any body para, then that distance between those ideas should be little justified, in not in terms of gap, but in terms of the words that separate them. So the first idea really needs to come in open before the second idea is brought in. Okay, that's what I want to imply today. So there are other questions, and Suraj is asking me, can we use contractions in essays? So Suraj, use contractions when you're speaking, because that's an amazing connected speech form. But these are informal. So an essay writing is a formal piece, whether you're doing for an academic pursuit or a general training pursuit. You can use it in your letters, informal letters, but don't use it in the essays or the reports, because they're formal pieces. Hope, Suraj, that answers your question. And I know it's a habit. At times, we write it, when you edit, just kind of get them reduced, okay? Use a pencil if you're doing a pen and paper, and it's okay. You will be able to get them reduced, okay? 1 or 2 here and there is okay. But an overdose of informal structures, of course, gives you lesser bands. Okay, Manjinder, I did talk about it, but I'll talk again for you. You're asking me how to elaborate examples in body paragraphs. So, A, the example needs to be in context to what you are supporting it for. B, it needs to tell about who is it targeting. So I told you, societal, geographical spread and economy are very good elements to show higher range elaboration for your idea. So if I was supposed to create an example, I would be very clear to say, in the recent Forbes magazine, the details for this were published, and explicitly it came forward that the Fortune 500 companies are growing because of the increased use of technology. So these Fortune 500 companies across the world. So this example looks very generic, but this example is succinct. Why? It's talking about their why, who, whom. So at least 4 or 5 elements of WH in an example makes it very explicit, communicative, and less vague. Is that okay, Manjinder? Do you understand me like this, please? Can you tell me? So I am not going to be only doing this much for the essay. I'm going to come back again and again for the essay. And whatever I do once will be visible in my samples also. Today was the ingredients thing. I am not cooking an essay with you today, but I'm going to cook an essay also in the subsequent sessions. And we will revise everything that we are doing at a much faster pace. Okay. So it's like step-by-step ladder, no? So you have to be with us. It's an 8 series session. Today is just the second session. All right. So let's go to the Q&A for the lovely audience who've been there through and through. I know it's not easy just sitting in front of the screen. All right. So Hetul, I read your question. Falak, I answered. If I look, what are the examples of informal words? So for your information, formal and informal is the choice of words. So when we speak to our friends, we speak to our family, we use words and we say, I'll be taking leave tomorrow. So that's an informal word. I'll be absent from school tomorrow. I'll be absent from work tomorrow. So that's a more formal presentation. Okay, that's a very simple one, but this is from your everyday life. So I've seen style and collocation. What should I do to achieve higher band? I'm so happy that you're talking about collocation and style. Today, I'm not doing lexical resources, but since you mentioned collocation, let me tell everybody, collocation means group of words. So a lot of you have this myth that we can't repeat our vocabulary. Oh, we need to give so many synonyms. Whereas IELTS exam never looks vocabulary in silos. It looks at the usage of words sitting together. So when group of words sit together and communicate a meaning, that's a collocation in a way. Okay, so collocation is group of words that go together. So for example, many people do mistakes. So it does not sound wrong, but do is not the right collocation here. Everyone makes mistakes is the right collocation here. So the IELTS examiner are so profound in language assessment that they're able to pick up, incorrect collocation usage also. And that's where, you do not get a high score in the lexical range then. So usually lexical range gets stuck at 6 and more than 6 requires efforts. Okay. The easiest to step up is task achievement, coherence, cohesion, and grammar range and accuracy. So I'm not discouraging you from lexical, but it takes time, to look at various elements, and collocation is one area where many people have slips. So Jitu, all that I can say is work on the elements that I've told today and practice collocations, from the IELTS published books. They will be able to guide you and tell you, because there's so many. I can't talk about them right now, but understand getting into synonyms and antonyms is not increased vocabulary. Using correct form of the word is more useful. So for example, child becomes children, it will give you more marks. But if you take children as kids or toddlers, it may change the meaning or communication. So that synonym replacement will not be so helpful always. Okay. I hope, Jitu, that answers your question, little thought. Okay. So formal writing is all about the sentence structures, less use of pronouns. Yeah. Everything is going to be there. Okay, Jitu? Now, what else can I look in? I can take one more question before we say bye to each other for today. And I'm just trying to scroll up to see if I have any new questions. So please bear with me. I'm reading the questions right now. Yeah, I'm in the Q&A. Okay. All right. So that's it. I think Amanpreet Kaur is asking, sometime I get out of time counting words later, I'm done. What can I do? So Amanpreet, know your writing style. Know one line of an exam sheet or a computer screen includes how many words for you. So for me, it's usually 15 to 17 words because I don't space out much. So 15 to 17 words in a pen paper test for me per line. So I multiply my lines and I know beforehand, oh, I need to do these many lines and it will give me roughly 300 words. So have that formula and, you'll be at ease. You really don't need to count word by word. Is that okay, Amanpreet? Yeah. Shabir, can you post your question here? Because there's a huge list and I have tried reading as much as I can. So Drumil just wrote a question, but today we're not doing questions for essay designing right now. Okay. Hetul, I hope everything has been answered for you. And is it necessary to use many linking words? No, nothing is necessary because writing is not decoration. Speaking is not decorating. It's all about speaking and writing meaningfully, purposefully for answering the question. And of course, a variety here and there shows your grammar strength, and linking words is just one form of grammar, not the only grammar. Okay. Yeah, Shabir. So usage of preposition on. So Shabir, phrasal verbs can be read on, and you can read about the prepositional usages also. When I do a grammar session on how to work only on prepositions, I'll be happy to bring more examples for you. So there are certain rules and we can look at those rules together. Yeah, so I'll be on leave on the 20th April, the 20th April. Yeah, absolutely. Correct. Yeah. All right, Jitu, thank you so much. I would love to cover listening reading also, but next session is 26th April, and watch out the IDP space to know what the session is going to be all about. I'm Sujata and I'll see you in the next session. Apart from what we're doing here as an IELTS success series, we also come to you for a master class. Okay, so 26th April is actually 2 sessions. One, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. for the IELTS success series, which is going to be exclusive on one particular area, and to boost your scores and make your dreams come true for Canada and other countries. And the second session is from 4:30 to 5:30, which is a master class. And that master class covers listening, reading, writing, speaking briefly in different elements. Okay, always. So each session is 1 hour. So if you have time, join both sessions. I would love to see you on 26th April. So on behalf of IDP and Burlington English, I would like to thank everyone present here today and would love to see you in the forthcoming sessions. Thank you and take care. Bye-bye.